It's a commonly asked question, how to be happy in life. So many people struggle with happiness, and not just on a temporary basis either. It can be an ongoing issue for many people. And this includes people who are successful as well. Just because you have, a lot of material wealth, whether it's a fancy car or a really cool house, that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be happy. Success doesn't necessarily equate to fulfilment and happiness. So this is obviously a really large subject, but in this video, I want to focus on one crucial aspect of happiness, and that is how to figure out your most important values. Hi, I'm Stephen Burns from Mind School, and I've been a practicing therapist, coach and trainer for around about 22 years. And in this video, I want to show you how you can increase your levels of happiness by figuring out your most important values. Now, there is actually quite a lot to this subject, so I want to spread it out over several videos. So if you want to keep an eye on the channel for those videos as they release. But in this video, I want to talk about what a value is, why they're so important when it comes to your happiness, and how you can figure out your own most important ones. So just before we begin, if you can do the usual, if you could like, subscribe, ring the bell, that would be amazing. It really helps. Also, one of my top values is to share and make a difference. So hey, you'll be helping me out too. So anyway, let's get started. So what is a value? Well, there are lots of ways to look at this, but essentially a value is an aspect of our life, of our experience, that we have decided is important to us. As a human being, there are so many things we can pay attention to at the one time. So we have to have a way to decide what things are more meaningful, what things are more important to us, so we can allocate our resources to them. And the way we do this is through our values. Now, we tend to give keywords to these values, so it can be things like significance or growth, connection, belonging, love, learning, safety, security, you name it, the list can go on and on. And we have our own definitions for what those mean, and we tend to arrange them in a kind of league table in a hierarchy. And the reason why it's so important to figure out what your most important values are is because, first of all, they will provide you with your upfront motivation. So this is like if you've ever been involved in a career that really fits with you, that fits with your values, then you don't really feel like you have to motivate yourself. You really enjoy it, so you kind of bounce out of bed and you do it because you want to, rather than feeling like you kind of have to. So values, when we're living life in accordance with them, they will give us our upfront motivation. But when it comes to happiness, they're also absolutely crucial, because a large part of our happiness as a person comes when we engage in activities, tasks and goals that fit and align with our most important values. And if you want to get a sense of this, just have a think back to a time in your life when you were really happy, when you were really fulfilled. Maybe it's just now, maybe it's a recent time, or maybe it's about 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Whatever it is, just go back to it for a moment. And I guarantee as you remember that time, that it will be a time where a lot of your important values were being fulfilled. That's what made you happy. That's what gave you that lovely sense of joy, that lovely sense of satisfaction. In fact, when we feel unhappy, it's almost always because we think that one or more of our important values is either under threat or it's simply not being fulfilled at all. If you've ever been in a job that's just not fulfilled your values, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. So that's what a value is and why they're so important. So how do we figure out our values, and how do we sort out the ones that are important versus the ones that are not so important? Well, there are a few different methods, but one of the easiest way to do it is to ask the question, what's important to me? And to ask the question several times. Now, the reason why you ask this question several times is when you ask it the first few times, we tend to get the social answers, the ones that we would like people to think of us, or maybe the pre-programmed ones, or maybe we mention values that our parents want us to think is important, or our friends or peers. So you really want to ask the question a few times just to really penetrate through the social answers and get the ones that really resonate with you, the ones that come from the inside. And you always know when you've hit on something that's really important to you when you feel it on the inside. It's almost like it kind of reverberates throughout your body. It's an amazing experience, actually. So you want to ask that question, what's important to me, and you want to repeat it over and over again. When I do my own value elicitation, that's generally what the process is called, I'll ask that question about at least 20 to 25 times. And I'll come up with a huge list of keywords. Now, just to give you some examples, I'll just bring up a slide here. It may look a little bit like this. Now, this is not an extensive list of values. Maybe your values aren't on this list. Maybe they are, I don't know. But this is just to give you some examples, just to give you some ideas. So we have lots there: love, accomplishment, growth, safety, security, significance, power, freedom, independence, creativity. As I mentioned, the list goes on and on. But you don't want to just stick to this list. You want to ask the question, repeat it over and over again, push past the social answers and see which ones naturally come from within. Then once you've asked that question, you then want to arrange it in a kind of league table. You'll maybe have between 8 and 10 value keywords. You then want to see if you can sort them out and figure out what your top 3 or 5 values are. And these are often referred to as our core values. So you want to look at your list of values that you've discovered and then ask, okay, out of all of these things, what is most important to me? Notice what comes from within. And then just ask that question a few times. Just say, okay, so love is most important to me. What is the next most important thing to me? And again, it's important to ask these questions quite a lot just to penetrate, just to go through the social answers and figure out the ones that really fit, that really resonate with you. So maybe it looks a little bit like this. You're looking to get your league table, so to speak. You're looking for your top 3 or your top 5 values. So maybe it's power, passion, growth, respect, freedom. By the way, as a disclaimer, these are not my top values. I'm looking at that right now, and it kind of looks like the value set of a bit of a megalomaniac. Maybe this is a politician. I don't know. So it may look like that, but there's a very good chance it's not. If it is, then that's a real coincidence I've managed to guess your values. But you're looking to arrange them into a league table. And the general idea behind doing this is once you've figured out what your top 3 or 5 values are, you then want to engineer activities. You want to craft goals and tasks that fit those values, because those are goals, tasks, and activities that you won't feel like you need to motivate yourself to do, because remember, values provide your upfront motivation. But from a happiness perspective, when you engage in activities, tasks, and goals that align with those values, guess what? You're going to become so much more happier as an individual. You'll experience less negativity, less negative thoughts, and you'll have that deep sense of enrichment, that sense of joy, fulfillment, and satisfaction. So that is the first part of how to figure out your most important values to increase your levels of happiness. But I want to do another video on this because, like I said, it is a large topic and there are some additional things I just want to add in. And the crucial thing I want to add in is that when we figure out our values, it's one thing just to come up with these keywords, but you want to go a little bit deeper. And I think this next step is even more important than figuring out your values in the first place. And that is, what do those values actually mean? So if you want to scroll down to the description in this video, you'll see a link that will take you to part 2 of this video of how to find your values to increase your levels of happiness. So hopefully you found this video useful. Give it a go right now and post in the comments what your values are. I'd be really curious just to see what they're like in comparison to my own. Also, if you want to keep up to date with future videos, if you could like, subscribe and ring the bell, you know the drill already, that would be absolutely amazing. So that's all from me for just now. Enjoy exploring your own values and I'll see you later on.